Thank you, Vlad and Stefan, for inviting me over. I'm from Holland, so pardon my French, no Dutch. So I'm the creator of this website, State of the DApps. Who has ever seen this site? Wow, that's nice. Look at yourself. Yeah, cool. So I've been following Ethereum from pretty much the beginning, from a community point of view, and very frequently when giving a presentation or when organizing the meetups in Amsterdam, I get a question like, what kind of applications are people building on Ethereum? And I got a bit tired of answering that question, and also it changed like every week. And it was hard to differentiate between really serious stuff and open source stuff out there and just crazy ideas on the forum that weren't actually realized. So I remembered when I got started with Linux in, I think, 2000, I had the same kind of problem. Like, Linux is totally cool. What kind of applications can you use? Where can you download them? I had no idea where to start. Probably I hadn't thought of Google before, but there was this website, Freshmeat, which had a big inventory of all the open source applications on the Linux platform, when they were released, when there was an update, what kind of license they were under, where you could download them, you could find games, you could do all kinds of stuff. So I thought such a website like that for Ethereum might be great. So all these applications, and DApp, that stands for Decentralized Application. It's typically a combination of a smart contract and a user interface. So those two combined, that's what I call a DApp. Maybe there's some other definitions out there, but that's the one that I use. So copying basically the idea from Freshmeat, I thought, well, I should just start keeping a big spreadsheet of all the dApps that are being built. So I got a list from Stefan, and I think George also had his own list, and Vlad Samfir had a list. So I combined these things together, and well, I had like 25 items, and it was getting pretty interesting. And people were asking me like, oh, what kind of apps do we have, or I have a new submission. So I decided to put it online and out there and keep it up to date. This list is still available, so if you want to do any kind of research, want to get the source data yourself, you can get it from the GitHub repository. And now, I think a couple months ago, Chris helped me out updating the user interface to make it a bit more pretty. And at least it's pretty enough. I mean, Vitalik is still using it for pretty much all his general purpose presentations. So dapps.ethercast.com is a big list of all the dApps are out there. You can search for all kinds of terms, keywords. You see which are the most recently updated, and you can also see like what kind of status are they in. Are they live? Are they deployed on the live net? Or they're more like a thought, some kind of concept. The ones in yellow. Work in progress. So there might be some code out there, but it's not really deployed yet. And unfortunately, there's also a couple abandoned ones. I mean, people just decided for whatever reason that they don't want to pursue this. So those are the ones in black. And as of yesterday, there are 203 dApps listed on the site. And I mean, you might know Digix, Slockit, Augur, the pretty popular ones, but there are a whole lot more that you have never heard about. So more than 200 others that you haven't seen before. And of those 203, 151 have their own website of some sorts. A lot of them are pretty ugly, but other ones have all kinds of fancy white papers out there, so all kinds of different ranges, but quite a lot of content out there. And more than 100 have their own GitHub project repository. So if you're interested in their source code, you can look into their GitHub repo and figure out what's their context source code, what kind of license do they use, what kind of front end, what kind of frameworks they use. I mean, if you want to learn to develop your own dApps, and you want to learn by following examples from these other guys, go follow this research, go investigate their GitHub repository and check them out. And surprisingly, yeah, it's not a 100% match. A lot of people forget to mention which kind of open source license they want to use. But pretty much half of them have an open source license. A lot more than them actually publish their source code, but they just don't mention what the license model is. So I guess you can still look at them, but if you want to copy them or if you want to extend them, you need to ask for clarification. And also, a lot of them are announced on Reddit. So either on the Ethereum Reddit themselves or some of the derived Reddits that are out there. And I think on the Ethereum website, there's like a master Reddit link which gives you all the Ethereum Reddits out there. So that's a great way to follow and find more information on Reddit. So looking at what kind of licenses are people typically using. So we had 203 projects in total. 107 of them either didn't specify the license or they explicitly said that they're not open source, unfortunately. But 69 of them have the MIT license. So that's pretty much the you can do whatever you want license, except you need to mention the license itself. 17 are GPL. That also includes LGPL, GPL3, and some of the other derivatives. 4 of them have the Apache license, so probably they want to do something with patents or whatever the choice is. And then there are a bunch of, well, lonely people using CC, Creative Commons 0, public domain, and license. But that's just like the long trail. But MIT license is very popular for the projects that are out there. Also, looking at the various majority levels. So 44 of them are actually live. So this means that they have deployed a contract on the live Ethereum blockchain and they can, or at least they claim that you can connect to them. 48 have a working prototype. So there's something out there to try, but maybe it's not deployed yet. Maybe it's just on the more than testnet, or you still have to deploy it yourself on a private chain. 15 are more in the concept, the demo phase. So there's something to try out there, but maybe it's mocked up. Maybe there's just a video or some high-level wireframes what can be done. A lot of them are work in progress, 35. Or people just forget to mention that they passed the work in progress stage and promoted to live. But that's still a pretty big group. And then concept phase 34. Those are the forum warriors, people with nice ideas, but they haven't really put anything, no code out there yet. And then there are a bunch in stealth modes. That's pretty much all the consensus projects out there. And 2 of them on hold, waiting for new technology updates. Both actually depend on like mobile clients. So once Ethereum has a better mobile interface, or there's the light client implementation, some of them will be a pickup and continue. And 5 people abandoned the project, or actually, well, stepped forward and mentioned that they abandoned. And of 7 of them, I couldn't figure out what the status is. I mentioned consensus before. They, by far, have the most DApps released out there. They're cheating a little bit, because block apps is just mentioned twice, but besides that, they still have the majority. And a couple of them are still in stealth mode, so hopefully that will be released out there. But they're a great studio to follow what they're doing, and now when they're actually coming forward, when they are issuing their press releases, I know it doesn't happen very often, but when they issue a press release, you can also figure out their GitHub repositories and look into the source code. The most recently updated DApp out there was from Joseph Chow. It's BTC Relay. He's been working on it for a long time. And this is actually the first working Bitcoin sidechain that is deployed on a live environment. So this is a great job by Joseph. I think it was initially sponsored by the Ethereum Foundation. And now it's working, now it's out there. So this means that on the Ethereum blockchain, you can actually verify if a Bitcoin transaction happens. And based on that, you can do, well, whatever you want, an exchange or some kind of escrow settlement or whatever out there. But this is a great piece of key infrastructure that every other DApp can use. And this is what Ethereum is all about this synergy between all these applications, combining your smart contract together, and not have to implement your own Bitcoin interface anymore. You can just use whatever is out there and whatever the BTC Relay provides. Yeah, so check out their website for more information, source codes, and you also can become a relayer yourself. So you get rewarded for publishing the Bitcoin blocks on the Ethereum blockchain. Yesterday evening, funny enough, it's called Last Is Me. I'm not sure if that was intended or not, but this is like it's a lottery by Ricardo Cassetta. And he mentioned, well, I cannot be here, but Thomas is in the room, so if you have any kind of questions, you should direct them to Thomas. So this is a pretty looking Ethereum lottery. And I think it's more like a dollar auction, but I'm not quite sure about all these gambling things. But some kind of gambling game websites in a Windows style. So looks good, and source code is out there, and it's released under the MIT license. Actually, the first entry out there was EtherPoker by consensus. I still haven't seen it released. Recently, there was an announcement about it, I think on one of the Bitcoin news websites. But there is some source code, but it hasn't been updated for a long time. So I'm hoping to see an update out there, but this is still one of the first ones that we watch and hope to see getting finalized. Yeah, consensus mentioned it's on our website, but there's not a lot of updated information. So you've seen already a couple games. Games are very popular. So there is Protect the Castle, Occam's Run, my own slot machine contract, Powerball lottery, also some meta projects, Free My Funk, so you have your own cryptocurrency derivative assets, poker, Pokerium, EtherPoker, some more ones out there, and yeah, a lot of Ponzi schemes. So unfortunately, to be honest, there's a lot of Ponzi schemes, scams, pyramid things, get money fast out there. One guy actually was honest and mentioned, well, my stuff is not working anymore, just stop using it, and he updated it to be abandoned. But all the other ones still claim to be live and to be very profitable. And all of them, they learn like, well, if you need to pay for gas and then you have a loop and it becomes bigger and bigger, at a certain point you just run out of gas and you cannot go past the gas limit. So that's when all these schemes stop paying out. So that's a great lesson as an Ethereum developer. Look at what those guys did wrong and how you should make your contract scale if more and more people will be using it. So even though I don't like these kind of contracts, you can still learn a lot from them, and quite a few actually released their source code, so you can inspect and learn from them, or try to find the bugs, cheat them, and get some money, make some money yourself. Besides, well, straightforward DApps, there are all kinds of tools and frameworks out there as well. DApps, Populous, Embark, Truffle, I mean, those are the 4 most popular development frameworks. Yeah, evaluate all of them. Personally, I loved Embark in the beginning. It's not that much maintained anymore. Now I'm looking at DApps. Truffle by consensus is also very popular. And what we're seeing a lot is actually, yeah, it's a very straightforward usage of the blockchain. So just using it as a registry. So any kind of name registry, domain name registration, distributed profile, notary contract, these things get frequently used. I don't think they're very interesting standing alone, but you can combine these with other parts and get to more interesting use cases. And there are also other topics that they're interesting out there, but they haven't really released anything. Like around healthcare, there are 4 projects. Most recently one was the My Health in real life, My Health IRL. Something about decentralized healthcare. Probably they will be using a registry of, I don't know, your patient information, which kind of doctors can be trusted, whatever out there, which kind of nurses are pretty. I don't know how they will work, but that's something to monitor. But they're not very mature yet. So interesting thing to join or look at how far they get, and maybe join one of these projects yourself. Also an interesting angle actually that I hadn't really thought of myself was just the security angle. So intrusion detection, audit repositories, like which versions of software releases can be trusted, which kind of vulnerabilities are known, which kind of firewall fingerprints are out there, and they're using the Ethereum blockchain to communicate that and distribute that. And some of them are more academic research projects, but the Petrol X is a pretty mature one to take a look at. Yeah, there's this guy, John Gerritz. He had to do something with Airlock. I think also we started with this 1.5 years ago. His vision was you can do something with electronic security and like have digital locks, combine them with the Ethereum contracts. But it hasn't been updated, so I don't think like smart locks is a good thing to work on in the future. Yeah, so what you see, I mean, is a contrast to the healthcare part. there's a lot of market and exchange related stuff. So demon market sounds pretty scary. Safe market, I mean that sounds safe, right? So you should be using that. Prediction markets out there, very interesting, like blockchain backpack. So apparently to the gaming community, like especially with Valve and like all these Team Fortress hats and pants and whatever things you can collect, it gets stolen. There's an entire black market in these things. So this guy has written, I think, like a 15-page white paper about how they should be using the blockchain to secure this kind of stuff. So super crazy, super interesting to take a look at, especially if you're into this kind of domains. Another prediction market, I hadn't seen it before. Job market also, so there's a lot of frustration with these freelancing websites, and at a certain point they just rename their website and you lose your entire track records. So they promise with the job market on Ethereum, you're not, well, you're protected against them being a dick. So if they change their business model, you can still have control over your track record, over your CV, and of your entire history. DApps Store, it's actually a bit of a competitor to the EtherCast, the DApps.ethercast.com site. Hopefully Tim and I will cooperate at some point to integrate them together, maybe make the back end of this not a Google Sheet anymore, but actually put this on the Ethereum blockchain. But so far that hasn't happened yet. And my all-time favorite is the stud book, Tinder for horses. So this is not about tricking girls that you are a horse or whatever. But apparently, I mean, he explains it himself. So there's this concept of a stud book. So it's a centralized register of all kinds of horses and their ancestry, and if they're inbreeds or not, and if they can be trusted, and whoever is their owner, and all this kind of crazy stuff. And supposedly there are problems with these kind of centralized registers. I don't know, but maybe like horse cartels, and people are trying to defraud the ancestry of horses. So stud book, Tinder for horses, would really be the solution to these problems that some people might have. But yeah, it's open source. If you have a horse problem, take a look at stud book. Yeah, so finally, actually one of the colony one is already there, but I think I haven't seen the first your website. I don't think it's there yet. So I'm looking forward to an entry. You can just go to DApps.ethercast.com, click on the I one, and then you just submit your own DApp, and hopefully tomorrow we'll be seeing your third-party DApps on DApps.ethercast as well. So I'd like to thank Chris Hitchcock for the development work that he did to make this look pretty. Also, everything is open source, the entire database, but all the Meteor code behind it. There's still 4 open issues, so Chris, we need to work on fixing those. But if you want to help, if you want to participate, or if you just want to copy this, put it on the blockchain and do with it, just go ahead. It's available under the MIT license. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Can you just confirm the difference between a smart contract and an application? I think a lot of people sort of get wound up with the idea of a contract as some sort of legal agreement and an application as a piece of software that you interact with. So can you shine a little bit more light on that for the uneducated people?
So basically, what's a smart contract? So a smart contract, it's neither smart nor a contract. Basically, it's a dumb piece of business logic that gets pushed on the blockchain, and it just gets executed once you send a transaction to it, and it updates its own state. But it's for executing the business logic side, but it was what you would traditionally do server-side on your cloud application. So whatever for your Web 2.0 model happens on your AWS clouds, you might be able to replace that, put it decentralized in a smart contract. So that's the logic, the storage, the identity management, these kind of process, financial transactions possibly, or Ponzi payouts depending on application. And then the user interface part, that's what the well, the HTML, JavaScript piece that's interacting with this. So this is the Web3 components that are rendering the state of the smart contract, displaying it to the user, and making sense of this. So you don't need to go to a blockchain explorer and inspect the state yourself, but you can see how it will visually look. So a DApp, a decentralized application, is a combination of a smart contract to storage, to the business rules, and a user interface to render it. But it could also have an automated user interface. So maybe an automated user interface without a user interface. So maybe the stud book is directly communicating with horses. I don't know. Other question?
Thanks a lot. That was brilliant. Do you have any plans on the rating side or anything to do with like?
There's a lot of stuff to be done. So what's really interesting is basically track the contract addresses behind these applications. So based on that, we can see how many transactions they receive, what their Ether balance is, are they still up to date, are there a lot of errors being created by these things? So that would be a very obvious one. I thought about all kinds of user rating and stuff, but I mean, if you look at all kinds of user communities and how they get spammed and all kinds of voting fraud schemes, etc., I'm not sure that's something that I'm interested in, but yeah, patch is welcome.
I have a question. So a lot of the applications like Augur have tokens. Have you thought of putting the market cap of, those?
Yeah, I mean, that would just tie right in, right? So if they have a token behind it, that could be published or just could be integrated with...
You should talk with... to compare.
Yeah. I'll have my people talk to your people.
We'll sort something out. Any other questions?
All right, thank you very much.